And now, coming to you from the nation's capital on WEBR, it's the Frantic Force with Norman Ball, Associate Political Editor of the Potomac Journal, and Leo Gerard, host of Leo Gerard's Point Taken.
My name is Ronald Reagan. Last year, the contributions of 16 million Americans to the Crusade for Freedom made possible the World Freedom Bell, symbol of hope and freedom to the communist-dominated peoples of Eastern Europe, and built this powerful 135,000-watt Radio Free Europe transmitter in Western Germany. This station daily pierces the Iron Curtain with the truth, answering the lies of the Kremlin and bringing a message of hope to millions trapped behind the Iron Curtain. Grateful letters from listeners smuggled past the secret police express thanks to Radio Free Europe for identifying communist quislings and informers by name. The Crusade for Freedom is your chance and mine to fight communism. Join now by sending your contributions to General Clay, Crusade for Freedom, Empire State Building, New York City. Or join in your local community.
Welcome back to the Frantic Force with Norman Ball and Leo Gerard.
We often talk of the colors black and white as though they are oppositionally equivalent, on equal footing, when in fact black has the ability to obliterate white but not vice versa. One might say the color black is existential, whereas white is conditional, i.e. merely the absence of black. I often think a comparable incongruence exists between inflation and deflation. True, the words differ only in prefix, but this does not mean necessarily that they encapsulate two extremes of the same phenomena. If one recalls the textbook definition for inflation, too much money chasing too few goods, the operable term for the current debate may be chasing. Deflation at its worst can mean the complete cessation of economic activity as people succumb to deflationary expectations and forestall purchases today, thinking goods will be less expensive tomorrow. When the chase for goods and services is given up, the value of money increases. Now, on the surface, strong money may sound good, but a society with curtailed spending has little use for money if no economic activity comes from it. So in one crucial sense, an economy suffering from inflation is preferable to an economy in deflationary collapse. That's because with the former, there is at least an economy where transactional activity is occurring. That would be the chasing part, a metric of which would be, for example, the velocity of money, which is to say at least you have an economy. Deflation, by contrast, is a graveyard. Suddenly, the macroeconomic debate deepens into more fundamental societal questions. Can a society exist in the absence of significant levels of commerce? Doesn't transactional activity serve as a sort of societal glue? This all suggests that deflation is a far more profound phenomenon than perhaps the economic complexion of the term would have us first believe. I'm wondering whether the truly biblical potential of deflation to shut down a modern economy has been taken fully into account. And what is a modern society if not its economy? As Ambrose Evans Pritchard noted recently, quote, deflation is sometimes likened to Dante's Inferno. Abandon all hope once you step into that hellfire, unquote. Now, even given Evan Pritchard's tendency towards purple prose, the danger of deflation seems incommensurate to that of inflation. In the context of economist Eric Janssen's Kapoom theory, where there occurs a disinflationary Ka period, followed by a high inflationary Poom, one wonders whether the Ka phase can be so culminating that the relative luxury of high inflation, the Poom, never arrives. We are finding there is little in the Fed monetary arsenal to compel people to buy when they don't want to, just as there is little to compel the banks to create loan activity when they prefer to hoard liquidity. Certainly the Fed is much better placed to fight inflation. Fighting deflation, however, may be tantamount to wrestling a vacuum or putting lightning in an empty jar. We are already flirting with zero-bound interest rates. Thus, there is an institutional fear of deflation as the powers that be discover the setting of interest rates largely ineffectual. What master of the universe wants to ponder the prospect of his own powerlessness? Another common fallacy is that both forces seize an economy monolithically. That is, an economy suffers either inflation or it suffers deflation. We won't even delve the variant strains, disinflation, hyperinflation, and disdeflation, nor the critical discussion of rates, trends, and time intervals. In truth, all these forces are operating in different areas and in different durations of the economy at any given time. There can be simultaneous price level increases in food and other staples, and asset deflation, as we seem to have had of late. But aren't we comparing income statement to balance sheet phenomena? A flow of funds as opposed to a reservoir of value? After all, debt deflation is not price level deflation. Clearly, an aggregating methodology must be employed before we can decisively label an era inflationary or deflationary. It's about here where the debate begins to veer into a semantic tail-chasing exercise. Why pain over descriptive exactitudes if no advantage is gained from the descriptions? If it walks like a duck, then let it be a duck with no further ado. If you prefer calling it an elephant, then that will do too. The debate would succumb entirely to superciliousness if not for the fact that in identifying certain phenomena, we are better able to apply prescriptive remedies or take defensive action in a portfolio strategy. Or, as a cynic might say, armed with the proper description, the government can prescribe more surgically destructive medicinal relief. In the end, the aggregate is meaningless on a practical level. If I am a buggy whip maker at the turn of the century, my market is collapsing. Call it a profound hyperdeflation if you like. My livelihood is ruined, all against the backdrop perhaps of macro-level inflation. Over the coming weeks and months, we should resist an easy retreat to the comfort of terms. The forces that promise to buffet the economy will be manifold and varied. Nimbleness of thought, unshackled from tired language, will be our best defense.
TheFranticForce.com is a WEBR production, broadcasting live and in the fresh out of beautiful Merrifield, Virginia. Continue the conversation with Norman Leo at TheFranticForce.com. That's TheFranticForce.com. TheFranticForce.com.